Thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you for choosing my talk instead of all the others. I know the choice was hard. And are you still refreshed and energized after lunch break?
Yeah.
Do you feel sleepy?
No.
No, that's good. Okay. And you want to learn more about teaching online in groups, right?
Yeah.
So let's start from the very beginning. Have you ever taught online? Raise your hands. Quite a lot. Have you taught one-to-one online? Okay, most of you. And have you ever taught groups online? So I decided to come here today. And raise your hands if you want to teach more online. Okay, most of you. Yeah, so some people say it's the future of teaching. I don't know, I'm not so good at predictions. But what I wanted to show you today is actually was meant to be a real live lesson. So supposedly I had to sit there where Evgeny is sitting and do a real online lesson, but there were some terrible technical challenges because of that, and sadly I can't do the real lesson. But surely, as Evgeny mentioned in his presentation today, we had plan B. So I was actually recording the lesson I wanted to do today with my students, and it was actually a rehearsal. So you can imagine all sorts of background noises, informal clothes, no makeup, and so on, like bookshelves behind. But after that I decided that probably it's even better, to do it this way, because it's authentic. It's how it really works in real life. So you're going to see me behind my computer, so that doing the real lesson. So this will be the first part of our workshop. So you're going to watch a lesson, and then we're going to talk about the lesson in terms of methodology and IT and equipment. So this is the lesson I planned, and this is the lesson you're going to watch. It is held on Zoom platform. Have you heard about Zoom before?
Yeah.
Some of you, yeah. And the good thing about Zoom, it's really suited to teach groups online. And there are 4 students in this group. They are all wonderful girls, teenage girls from 16 to 18 years old. They are super smart, so don't think that like all of my students are like them, but they are really, really smart, really advanced, and they are taking a kind of CAE YGE Olympiads exam preparation course, so a mix of a bit of everything. And the focus of this particular lesson you are going to watch is on speaking, and particularly speaking CAE task 2, which is called the long turn, is when they have 2 pictures. They have to choose 2 pictures out of 3. I'm going to show you the task now. And then they have to answer 2 questions about these pictures. And the lesson will take 25 minutes. I'm not so sure I'm gonna show you everything, but you will see that the biggest part of it, yeah? But you are not just going to watch. It's a workshop. You have to do something, yeah? And I'm gonna tell you, before I start the lesson recording, I'm gonna tell you what you're going to do. But this is the task. This is taken from Complete Advanced by Cambridge, and this is these are 3 pictures. And you have to choose 2 pictures out of these 3, and you have to compare these pictures and focus on these 2 questions. Can you read the questions?
Yes.
I can read them for you as well. What might the speakers be explaining, and what problems might the speakers have? And as we're doing a workshop, why not turn to your partner on the right or on the left and give it a try. Yeah, I'm going to give you 1 minute to choose 2 pictures and answer these 2 questions. What might the speakers be explaining, and what problems might the speakers have? Okay, let's go. I'm not going to assess you, I'm not going to give you marks, but you will probably compare your performance of the performance of your partners with the ones you're going to watch in the lesson. But this is not the only task I'm going to give you. This is the real task. This is called observation task. You don't just watch the lesson, you do something. And I will ask you to take a sheet of paper, yeah, in your notebooks, divide it into two parts, and on the left side, write methodology, and on the right side, write IT or technology, whatever. And then you are going to notice the stages of the lesson, and I'm going to ask you to follow the stages of the lesson and think why one stage follows the other, yeah? Because we're going to talk about methodology as well. And secondly, notice how the teacher, myself, sets the activities in terms of instructions and technical equipment. So, and as you watch, write some things. For example, well, the first stage, as you may guess, will be a lead-in. And in terms of methodology, what did we do? Yeah, we'll brainstorm some ideas. And in terms of IT, you will see that I assign pairs. And so on and so forth. You may want to leave out some space for each stage, because later I'm going to talk about each stage in turns, and you may want to add some things. Yeah. So there's going to be roughly 6 stages. So leave out some space as you write. And yes, so try to analyze it in terms of methodology and in terms of IT. So the downside of the recording is that you don't see my toolbar. Yeah, so you won't see what I'm actually, where I'm clicking. So, and the first thing you're going to watch is called breakout rooms. It works like that. So there are 4 students, and when I set the task, I divide them into pairs, so 2 and 2. And they arrive into a separate room. This is called breakout room. And I can go to one breakout room or to the other. Yeah? So I listen to them, I monitor them in these breakout rooms, but I can't hear all 4 at the same time. So I either listen to 2 or then to the other 2. Yeah, and in the video you're going to see, yeah, so we were 5 of us, yeah, then there are 2 girls and I, and then there are 2 other girls and I. Yeah, so we're going to talk about these breakout rooms later, so this is about assigning pairs. Okay, so I think we are ready to start watching the lesson. Let's go.
Yes. Oh, hello guys. How are you doing today?
is not really smooth. So what I did, I just set the task, yeah, and then you see these breakout rooms. And you see I switched to the other breakout room and I listened to the other girls. So we are together again. So after the first round of the task, so I asked them which pictures you had chosen, were the pictures the same or they were different, and then I showed them these words in the exercise. These are useful collocations for the pictures. I share the board with them. So, and I divide it into 3 pictures, and then they read out the phrases, yeah, and decide to which picture these words are relevant. And sometimes I ask them, like, boost morale, what does it mean morale, so that they don't confuse moral, which is close to Russian, with morale, which means team spirit. And so we go on, yeah, so just adding more and more and more words here, and then we're going to listen to a modal answer. I'm going to play a modal answer to them. And as they listen, they have to pay attention to 2 things. The structure of the answer that they are going to listen, the modal answer, and also what kind of language this person in the modal answer uses to speak about things they are not sure about, to speculate. And then I start to share the audio.
I think both speakers have very similar problems because their success depends entirely on the words they use.
So we'll listen to the modal answer, have feedback on what they noticed. They also see a chat box, and in the chat box I type in the structure of the answer. Yeah? So I elicit the structure from them, I type them in the chat box, and they try to remember what language of speculation they heard. And after that, then we systematize and summarize the language of speculation. So they heard words like perhaps, probably, and I board them just below. And then we basically create 3 types of language for speculation. Separate words like perhaps, probably, possibly, maybe, some sentence frames, and before that I ask them what is the difference between looks like or and looks as if. Yeah, so I ask them what follows looks like. A noun usually follows looks like. And after as if, looks as if, it's a clause. Yeah, so we have this a bit of grammar highlighting as well. And here I board the 3rd way of speculation, models. And they try to remember what kind of models can we use to speculate. Yeah, so it's make and might be 50% when we are so 50-50 sure, and must be when we are 100% sure. And so they have this board with content vocabulary and with modals and sentence frames and words for speculation. This is the script of the answer, the modal answer that they just listened. So I highlighted the language of speculation before the lesson. And I go through the structure once again. Yeah? So I highlight how he started with a brief description of the photographs, and then he addressed the 2 questions, and he uses this and these structures for speculation. And actually I can keep the cameras, or I can switch them off. Yeah, so if we concentrate on the text, I switch off the cameras. When we discuss something, I switch them on again so that we can see each other as we talk. And now they have to repeat the task. And the task for repeating the task is more specific, so they have to pay attention to 3 things. They have to pay attention to structure, to language of speculation, and to this content vocabulary that they categorized on board. And I change pairs. I'm going to change pairs so they're going to talk to a different partner. And again, I use the breakout rooms to divide them into pairs. And I also said that the person who is listening, this person also has a task. The person should listen to their partner and give feedback on the structure and on language of speculation. Yeah? So they should stay focused as their partner is speaking. I switch the rooms. And you see, I have a notebook, and I write down what they say. I notice some language for further feedback. And I keep silent for this activity, yeah? So I don't intrude anything. Oh, sometimes I do. So I give them plenty of time to, and you see I switched back again to the previous pair. I give them plenty of time to do the task, to give feedback, to give the second person. I usually switch 2 times between the breakout rooms to make sure that I listen enough to everyone. And so after that we have whole class feedback again, so I look at my notes, what I've collected, and I thank them. So this is it. So I hope you weren't very bored by that. So I'm going to return now to my presentation. Okay. And meanwhile, yeah, so look back at your notes and try to recount the stages and the things that you've noticed in terms of methodology and that's quite enough. Okay. So yeah, let's once again. No, go back. Okay. Don't do anything. That's okay. All right. So you see, the technology drives us crazy today. It's been just. Okay, the first stage, lead in. Actually, you can imagine, under normal circumstances, this lesson will take a minimum of 45 minutes. I will never ever do that to my students, that I mix up lead-in, brainstorming, and the first attempt at the task, yeah? There are some people in this audience who can confirm that I don't do that. Yeah, but for the sake of conciseness, I had to. And so they had some start, yeah, some start to talk about the pictures. What was the second stage?
Vocabulary.
Vocabulary. Pre-teaching, some pre-teaching.
Grouping the vocabulary.
Sorting the vocabulary. Okay. So yeah, we focused on the content language. So content language means like, what exactly do we say? What is this thing called? Who's the barrister? Yeah, what does it mean to boost morale and so on? They had to sort this vocabulary, and I boarded the vocabulary, and so they had a couple of ideas to use for the next task. After the content, we focused on structure, and to do so, we listen to a modal answer. That's right. And again, as you remember, hopefully, they had a specific task for the listening, and it was to follow the structure and language of speculation. Yes, to focus on language of speculation. After that,
some form analysis, grammar.
Yeah, so we focused on language of speculation. Yeah. And we also looked at the script, yeah? So to confirm some things that they said before, yeah, to see that the structure is really as it is, and to highlight some language for speculation. Yeah? And I boarded the language of speculation, and after that, we systematize it a bit, yeah. Remember that they started with separate words. It was perhaps, probably, possibly. Then we talked about looks like, looks as if, and then some modals. And finally, we repeated the task, yeah. Okay, now let's look at each of these stages in terms of methodology and in terms of technology. So this lead-in first attempt at the task all-in-one thing, yeah. So from the perspective of students, yeah, there is a fashionable methodology where it's activating schemata. Do you know what it means? Yeah, usually when we talk about activating schemata, schemata is the kind of background knowledge that we have in our mind about a specific thing. Yeah? So usually we activate our students' schemata every time at the beginning of a lesson, listening lesson, speaking lesson, whatever lesson, yeah? So that they activate what they already know, yeah? This is kind of what associations do you have when you blah, 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 yeah? And then actually to do it in pairs is less threatening than to do it whole class, you know? Because when you ask, okay, when you hear the word blah, 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 what do you think? Yeah, and everybody's silent. Yeah. So when you assign pairs, it's less intimidating, yeah? So they are a bit at ease to start speaking. And for this reason, I assign them into pairs. And we brainstormed some ideas. From the teacher's perspective, can you read as I stand here?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, good. We introduced the topic, and for me, it was an opportunity to listen to them and to assess them without, you know, this on-the-spot correction, without saying, no, this is wrong, say this, and so on. So I was silent, but I was taking notes. Yeah? I noticed what problems they may have, what kind of limitations, where I can jump in later to correct them a bit. And yes, so I gathered language for feedback. And in terms of IT, I use these breakout rooms. So if you wonder how it all works, it's very easy. You Google Zoom breakout rooms. And Zoom has wonderful, very easy videos, like 1 minute long. This video about breakout rooms is less than 1 minute long. And it explains which buttons do you click to do that. So actually, it's really easy. Like I learned it during like one evening. I just look at it and I click on breakout room. I assign pairs. So it can be assigned randomly by itself, or I can pick particular people when I assign. Yeah. So the first assigning, I do it randomly. Yeah, like anyone plus anyone. Then for the next run, I reshuffle them. Yeah. So I make sure that during the lesson they talk to different people, yeah, they don't keep talking to the same person. And from teacher's perspective, so I monitor them, so I listen to either pair, and again I don't interrupt them, but your challenge here is to make sure that you do it more or less equally. Yeah, so sometimes you know that you have a weaker student, sometimes you may listen to this particular student a bit longer. But normally you just try to switch back and forth and make sure that they are on task and make sure that you listen to them. Sometimes again, when I know that this particular student is very bad at understanding instructions, yeah, I check the instructions, but I know that they might be hesitant. Yeah? So I go to this breakout room, make sure that they are on task, they start, and then I switch to the other one, and then later I return. Question? I think we need a microphone because there is online streaming and they won't hear your question.
I'm not very familiar with Zoom, but do they see when the teacher is monitoring them and breakout
Yeah.
rooms? So
Yeah.
they know when you're not looking at the video.
Yeah. They see the same picture. Yeah. So they either see to each other or then whoop, I appear and they continue. Yeah?
All right, so they have to be really...
Yeah, and they know that I can appear at any time. Yeah. So okay, I will say it now. So Zoom is a free platform. You have to download a very small software there. You can try it out and use it for free for 40 minutes. Yeah. So then, if it's a free version, then after 40 minutes it will stop, and then you have to call back. But I can tell you that I pay 1,000 rubles per month for unlimited number of Zoom rooms. I think if you compare it to the prices for rent of a school, it's basically nothing. Okay, shall we go on?
Can I ask questions?
Oh, okay, yeah, there was one question.
How do you write down all this stuff which you showed? I mean, all these groups. Is it screen sharing or it is some special tool?
A tool for what?
For writing, for example, these words which you divided into groups and whatever.
You mean on board?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so in Zoom they have this board in the program, so I don't go anywhere else, I stay in Zoom. I share the board, and then they have the same function, I'm going to talk about it later, I share the sound from the computer. Okay, stage number 2, content language focus, yeah? In terms of methodology, it expands students' knowledge of vocabulary, it gives them some ideas what kind of language they can use, again, if they don't know who's a barrister, it's important to explain, yeah, so to give a demonstration, to boost the morale, to explain tactics, this is the vocabulary that we have here. And here is, again, it's up to you about how much time you have and how deep into it you want to go, yeah? So you can explore a bit more, you can contextualize a bit more, you can ask questions. Okay, so a coach can boost morale. Okay, who else can boost morale, yeah? In what kind of situation do you need to boost morale, yeah? So today here we basically needed to boost our morale, you know, to keep on top of things, to be on top of things. In terms of IT, yeah, so I use the board, yeah, and there is this board in Zoom. It can be saved, so the chat box that you didn't see it, the chat box and the board, you can everything save it and send it as a file to students later. The next stage, listening to the modal answer. Again, from the student's perspective, we need to provide the modal so that the students basically understand what do we want from them. Yeah. So, okay, compare, contrast, answer questions, in what order, for how long, yeah, and you give them a modal. Sometimes you can be a modal, why not? Yeah. Sometimes you can give them a modal, and so they understand what is needed for the task. And from our perspective, again, teachers, don't say just listen, yeah? Or just listen and then, like, look, this is a modal, yeah? Do the same. Yeah? Not very helpful. So set a specific task. What do you want them to understand at the end of this listening? And again, probably it's better to do one thing at a time, yeah? So first listening, listen to the structure, yeah? Follow the structure. The next listening, listen for modals of speculation, language of speculation. Like 2 things at the same time, it's probably only for stronger students or for very short listen. And in terms of in terms of IT, this is a very, very good thing that in Zoom you can share the sound from the computer, because you guys who teach by Skype, you know that there's always a problem. Sometimes the audio doesn't start on Skype. Sometimes you play the audio from your computer, but there is a thing which is called noise reduction. So the computer, your computer, their computer, might think that this is a noise, and they block it out. I had this problem in Skype for ages. I didn't know what to do. Then I thought, okay, I'm gonna send them the audios, and they started on their own, but they started at different times. Or they can start a different audio, yeah? So like, oh no, I listened to the different one. Yeah, so Zoom solves this problem because you share the computer sound, and the sound quality is good, really good. And again, if you do some kind of decoding skills or you want to emphasize some things, you can stop, repeat, listen once again. So I found it really, really useful. Then we looked at the script, yeah, and it's basically just like going through correct answers, but again, there's a couple of things you can expand on this, just checking the answers. So again, you as a teacher, you can highlight the target language. And you can do it before, when you prepare for your lesson. Well, basically you need a program on any PDF reader, and if it's if it's like it's not scanned, but it's like it recognizes the characters, so you can highlight with a highlight in a particular language. Well, I do that when I prepare for the lessons, and then during the lesson I also can highlight something else I probably didn't notice during the lesson. Then you demonstrate the structure, and you also can expand the content vocabulary focus. So you can do the same things that you did with this sorting the collocations. Yeah, you can notice some more language, and you can expand and ask like, aha, and who else can say that? In what other situations can you do that, and so on. And in terms of IT, again, this is this function again in Zoom. You have sharing the screen, yeah. So you can share the sound, look at the work with the board, and you can share the screen. And the good thing about it is that you choose, for example, you choose to share the PDF program. And if at the same time you want to check something in the dictionary, they won't see it. Very good, very useful. Yeah, so again, you make sure that students do the same things, yeah? That they focus on the same text, yeah? If you do that in class, very often they have the same course book, or you give them a handout, and then you say, like, line 5, and you read out, and then, where is it? Where is it? I can't find it. And like, it can take forever, like, it's here, here, here. Here again, you just highlight it, you click the mouse, and then it's okay. So we have to speed up a bit. Systematizing the language of speculation, yeah, it helps students to notice the language, and for you it's this grammar focus, yeah. So finally you can do some grammar, yeah. What follows? It looks like, it looks as if, and so on. And again, depending on how much time you have and what was the focus of your language lesson, yeah, so you can expand a bit more. You can revise modals here, for example. And again, in terms of IT, it's again board work, and it can be quite neat. I'm quite bad at the e-board. I don't use it a lot. And I know that if you're a very sophisticated user, you can choose different fonts, like you can write it in bold, you can write it in italics, and so on and so forth. I did it, the same color. I'm not good at board work. But you can do it a bit more neatly. And finally, repeating the task. Yeah. So for students, this is the opportunity to activate what they've learned. They learned quite a lot during this stage, and now they can try it out. And actually, in that recording, at the end, I asked them, was it easier for you to do it the second time, or was it more complicated? And actually, all of them said different things. Some of them said, well, it's not, no, it's easier because I know what to do, yeah? But the others said, oh, it was more complicated because I had to bear in mind all these things. And yeah, so it can be different, but in terms of methodology, task repetition is one of the best things you can do for your students for speaking. Yeah. As a follow-up for this lesson, I would probably ask them to use Vocaroo. Do you know Vocaroo? Yeah. The website vocaroo.com. They can go there and use it as a recorder. They can do the same task, or if they are bored with these pictures, give them other pictures. But say, well, do the same, yeah? So focus on the questions. You have the structure, you have language of speculation. Record yourself and send the recording to me. And if the students are self-conscious and a bit of perfectionist, they're gonna try it out for hundreds of times, and they send you the 109th recording, yeah, and it will be almost perfect. Or sometimes still they're gonna practice a bit more, and there will be a bit more value. But still, I believe that in the lesson it's very good to give them a second attempt to improve their performance. And again, in terms of IT, remember I said I reshuffled the group, so they spoke to some other partners. And again, they had this assessment task. Yeah, so you are speaking and I'm listening to you, and at the end I have to tell you what was your structure and what was your language of speculation. And when I give this kind of observation task, a peer observation task, I always model it, because you know they are very uncomfortable to give each other feedback. Like, oh, should I criticize her? Should I correct her mistakes? No. I say, okay, so say something like, so you answered this the first question, yeah, but you never come to the second question, so be careful about it. Or, you know, you spent too much time on describing, yeah, so you didn't say much about the questions. And in terms of language of speculation, just basically notice what they said. Oh yeah, so you used might be and you used you look as if, but you didn't use any words. Yeah, so probably to just expand a bit, you can use some words like perhaps and possibly. So I think that this is it, and this is actually the plan of the lesson. Yeah, so it was this test, teach, test thing. Again, this first test was super short, brainstorming first attempt of the task. Then the teach part was a bit more. Again, in a normal lesson, I would probably pick one or maximum two things. I wouldn't squeeze it all in. But then, finally, they had a second run. And to just finish it off, I would like to end my presentation with a quotation. It was in Evgeny's presentation today as well. Technology is only a tool. Yeah, so it's what we do is important and not like what kind of technology we use. So if you're not yet in, I invite you to my VK group, Radionuty Angielski z Polina Kordik. It's vk.com/Polina English. You're more than welcome. And I have a free weekly digest of best posts that are on my group. So just basically go to the web page, subscribe, and then once a week, or even rarer than that, you will get a personal email from me with, you know, like news, yeah, what's going on. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
I have a question. If they write in a group, so they use their own text button, yes, so they can write on the same word, then they see what each other students are writing.
Yeah, so they can also write on the board, and we all of us see it.
So it's like a slide, right? And you share the slide.
Yeah.
And each of them types something.
Yes,
and
they can.
They can see what each is writing on
Yes.
your board.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And also they have a common chat, yeah, so we write to each other, somebody can send a link. There was one more question, right?
Okay, the quote says technology is not everything, but my question is for technology again. This Zoom, what is the bandwidth of this application? How large a group can it contain? Because on Skype, 4 people, it's already,
Yeah. It's very straightforward. They say that 1.5 megabytes or megabits.
How many people can you have?
Unlimited. 100. Well, you know, I haven't tried it with 100 people, but they write on their website is that for a comfortable use of Zoom, you need to have this 1.5 megabyte or megabit per second both ways, which is in fact not a lot. Yeah, so my home provider gives me something like 80, and you need 1.5. So and it's much better in terms of quality of communication than Skype. Yeah, so it's the picture is good, and well.
So how big is your largest? What is your largest group?
Well, I teach four people. This is my standard. I don't like to expand because it will affect my monitoring of pairs. More questions? There was.
I have a question here that these app programs so you have to pay for it. And as for your students, do they have to pay for this, or you just
No.
invite them?
It's only me who pays. I'm the host. I pay 1,000 rubles once a month, and this is it. They don't have to pay anything.
Can I ask you one question? So what do you think, is it possible to teach a group of people, for instance, who speak about corporate English, and they are sitting in one room, like it's a company, they are colleagues, and, well, is it possible to teach them at once?
I haven't tried it.
Well,
So, probably, but then, well, you probably will have this problem monitoring pairs. Because in real life, you can come to people, yeah? And in Zoom, you can just switch back and forth. And if there are like 5 of them and they're sitting around the computer, well, you know, I have a couple of clients, and they just sit on at their desks, and even though it's a common space. More questions?
Have you tried with the lower level students, like beginners?
You know, I didn't, because I have a very narrow specialization. So I prepare for exams. It's UGE, and the lowest I have is FCE. I prepare for CE mostly, and CPE and UGE. So, but I don't think it will really affect, because you basically do the same things. Yeah, it's just the tasks are simpler, and you just adjust your language, but I don't think it will affect. More questions?
How do you share the images with the students?
Images?
The images and all the materials that you use.
Well, if I need to share an image and it's on my web browser, I share the screen with the web browser. And then, well, actually, the chat, yeah, the chat is saved. When I finish the session, I save the chat and I send them. We have Skype groups, we have Skype chats. Yeah? So this is the common chat that everybody sees. And actually, I just send this document with our chat to them, so that they can print it out or save it. Yeah? So if we brainstorm ideas, if they want to work through the vocabulary, and so they have it as just saved text.
There is a Zoom feature that basically allows you to record the lesson. Do
Yeah.
you use it?
Yes, and this is, thank you for the question. This is, again, one of the very, very good things about Zoom, is that when somebody is absent from the lesson, I automatically start the recording, and then I upload it, and well, people really like it, because if you miss lesson for any particular reason, you can watch it, do the same things, and then next lesson they are in the know about what's happened. It's very easy.
Have you tried any other?
Well, I worked in Skype for a very long time, but now I'm very comfortable with Zoom. I know that Adobe is also quite sophisticated, but I've never tried it.